Rabbi, so welcome back to Yerushalmi Eruvin. We are holding Zayin Amud Beis, yeah? We are Kaira Shiyotza Mikosel Zev in a Nagas for Kosel Hasheni. So basically you've got a gap between one Kaira leaving one wall, another Kaira leaving the other, and so there's a gap in the middle. Or you had two short ones, Zu Keneged Zu, parallel, but they don't reach. Two, but they don't reach each other. Now, if two coming from the opposite sides, if you've got between them shloisha tvachim, then if you've got a gap of 3 tvachim between the two kairos, you need another one. But if the gap is less than 3, you don't need another one because we say lavud. Is today there's some we learn that only if the gap is above 4 tvachim or more, you need to bring another one. But till 4 is okay. The one who said lavud is of 3, that's the amount that a person can pass by through that space. The one who said that's a significant place, is 4 tvachim. So you've got one end which is above 20 amas, and the other side is at an angle. So on one side of the wall it's above 20, and on the other side of the wall it's below 20. So Ryan, Sheila, you good. If you start cutting away from the high kaira, and you get to the point where it's within 3 tvachim of the wall below 20 amas. So as it's going down, when it's within 3 tvachim, where is that kaira now? What height is that kaira at? So if it's within 3 tvachim and it's now below 20, we're nearest with then it's permitted. And if not, also then it's forbidden. Now the other way around. One end is 10 tvachim above 10, which is good, and the other end is below 10. Again, if you start cutting away from the lower side, within the 3 tvachim close to the wall, and at that point it appears above 10 tvachim, then that is permitted. And if not, also then it's forbidden. Next one. Shtei kairos, zulam alamazu. You have 2 kairos, 2 beams going across, one above the other. Right? Rabbi Yosef, he said, imagine the bottom one is above, the top one, imagine, is below. So you imagine they're equal with each other, or they're both up, or they're both down. They join up to make a kaira, and they're kosher, providing the top one mustn't be above 20 amas, but the bottom one mustn't be below 10 tvachim. Because above 20 or below 10 is not a kosher place for a kaira, right? Ashkach Tani, we've got a brayth which teaches Rabbi Yehuda b'shir Zaviv. In one thing he holds like his father Rabbi Yehuda, v'chalok alaviv, he argues on his father. B'shir Zaviv, in one way he follows his father's view. Du'ama, who said, right, imagine the bottom one is above, but the top one is below. And Rabbi Yehuda also allows a kaira based on this far of royin. We imagine it's further down. But if he argues on his father, he said the top one mustn't be above 20, but the bottom one below 10. If he was following his father, it could be even a few amas more, it will be kosher, because he holds even above 20 amas. Rabbi Yehuda allows a kaira above 20 amas. So obviously he doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda and everything. Rabbi Yosef Chidna b'Shem Yerushalmi, Rabbi Yudan Chidna b'Yerushalmi b'Shem Rav. He says that which we said the two are considered, they're both next to each other. He says providing that it's within 3 tvachim of the bottom one, then we can say they join up based on lavud. But he says they have to be within 3 tvachim. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Halacha dalet. Is that right? Now, Rechava, so your kaira, your beam going across, should be wide, lekabel ariach, to take a brick, as we said, and beria, it should be strong, lekabel ariach, to take the weight of it without breaking. Rabbi Yehuda said, Rechava, it should be wide enough, even though it's not strong enough. Rechava, lekabel ariach, so wide enough to take these bricks. No, Tanakama said it should be strong as well. Rabbi Yehuda said, as long as it's wide, even though it's not strong. Tani Rav Shimon, he said, beria, if it's strong, even though it's not wide. Rav Huna b'Shem Rav, he said, Alach Remeir, Alach Zay Remeir, this is Tanakama Mishnah. Shmuel, he said, Alach Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon Levi, Alach Rabbi Shimon. He says, Alach Zay Rabbi Shimon, that even though it's not wide, but it's got to be strong. We're giving it to Alach Yadein. Now, someone says Alach is like this one. Someone says Alach is like that. Whichever opinion you follow, you don't have to worry. Ramana said no. We give it to Alach Garabana. Since the way that the Mishnah is put together, the Tanakama is stam, and that's the halacha, and that's most chachamim, then Shavkin Yachid Otan Rabbanan, you should forget the individual opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and also forget Rav Shimon as well, and you should follow the chachamim. So it's going to be wide and strong to take these bricks. Rav Ozal Achadata, he went to a place, he saw a mavoi which was permitted through a lechi which was very thin. Rav lechi is the post, yeah? Very thin, and it was put there on the entrance. It was like a board, actually, not lechi, rather. It was, it had a board, a very thin board, put on the entrance for the sake of a kaira. It was very thin. Yav leiba chutra va'aple, he hit it with his stick, and it fell down. So he said, well, this is not strong enough. He says, diklakaim, but there's a date palm here at the entrance. That can be a lechi to allow it. So even if the beam is not good enough, you've got a lechi here. Rav says, do you honestly think, look, Rav Chuna, your eyes saw the tree and my eyes didn't see the tree? I also saw the tree. And I'm going to forbid them this Shabbos to use the tree. They should know the beam, the kaira is no good. Don't rely on that. But you have a tree. Next week, they can start using the tree. Shabbos habani matim mishum lechi, lahem mishum lechi. They should realize it's all because of the tree, and that's why if anything happens to the tree, they should stop carrying them. And some wanted to say that the fact that Rav hit the stick, it wasn't because he was worried that maybe the tree would be taken away. It was another reason. They shouldn't say Rabbi Yehuda. He said Rachava, it can be wide up even though it's not strong. So since people think, it's the kaira, they might think, Alach is like Yehuda. So he hit the stick, and they should know that you can't rely on it. Okay? Now, the kaira of the mavoi was connected to Machlokes Rav Yehuda and the Chachamim about kaira which is not strong. We'll bring another version of the story. And maybe it's another connection to another argument about a kaira that falls in the middle of Shabbos. So it's a different version of the story. Rav Chena came. He says, you got the story wrong. He says, Rabbi I went to a place, he sees a mavoi, the kaira had fallen on Shabbos. And he told them, don't carry. He says, but there's a date tree there. You think, Rav Chuna, your eyes saw it and my eyes didn't see it. I'm forbidding his kaira. Next week we can rely on the tree. They should know if the tree falls away, you can't carry them. And some say another reason, even if there was no word, he didn't want them to think that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Who holds that mavoi, which had a kaira when Shabbos came in, remained heta the whole Shabbos. He didn't want them to hold of that. Now, Rabbi Yehuda said you can carry in a karpaf, let's say where there's a boy or something like that. It's like basically a big area which is mukaf l'zira, surrounded for the sake of living in. We have a contradiction. We've learnt in Beitza, Ezo karpaf. What is this sort of area where the wood is muchan on Yom Tov? It's not muksa. Kol Haloshon is close to the town. Rabbi Yehuda. He says, look, you've got a pit. That's considered a book of Ladira, even though it's not even near the town. Ramana said, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda treats it as a base dira, so it allows you to carry there. For carrying, what depends, is it surrounded for living? As far as muksa, then it depends, did you have your mind on it? So if it's near the town, you had your mind on the wood. But if it's not near the town, you won't have your mind on it. Okay? So that's the difference between the two. Okay, halacha, hey, is that right? Okay, now, even if your kaira was made of straw or reeds, and it really can't take the weight of a brick, imagine it's made of metal, and it's kosher. Akuma, if the kaira was bent, so in the picture they've got here, they've got a line, and then it comes out, or it comes in a semicircle in the middle of it, so it's not a straight line. Rhino is a kiddy pshuti. Imagine it's straight. Imagula, if it was round, like a pipe, that you can't really put a brick on it, right? Imagine you could sort of scratch out a square area to make it straight, or divide it into two, and it makes it a straight line where the cut is. And if in the place there it was a tefach wide and a brick could stand on it, then it's okay. What is the midah required for Koragula to allow the mavo? If you have the circumference of 3 tvachim, then you know, right? Sheyesh ba roichav tefach. Yeah, if your diameter is a tefach, then your circumference will be 3 tvachim, or 3.14159274, etc. Yes. So here, the calculation is given as 3. We'll discuss this now. So if you got a surrounder, the circumference of 3, you can divide it and you'll have a width of a tefach. Okay, that's why it's kosher. Let's see. If the kaira was made of straw, whatever, Levin is whose is needed. Levi Yehuda. To be Yehuda, he said rachav al pi she'en brick. It can be wide even though it's not strong. So that's why. That's why we need to mention this. This is that shitta. Our kuma, if it's bent, right? I say imagine it's straight. This is the view of Yehuda. Just like you imagine it's metal, he also allows if it's bent, you imagine it's straight. Yeah, but the Chachamim hold you can't be Mashir Korah based on imagining, right? You can't do that. Rabbi Yosef Shem Zero, he says Dira Kohi. No, everyone agrees. But Hushdei Akumumis, if the bent part Yot Min Hatzad comes from the side into beyond the mavoi, because Akumumis She'ena Ma'akeves is a mavoi. This sort of bend, when it bends outwards, does not prevent the hechsha of the mavoi. If you take it away, it wouldn't be ma'akev the hechsha, because you've got enough with what you've got remaining. If it affects the kashrus, the mavoi razor story, then it's forbidden. Sorry, what is akmumis? What's the right wording? Ma'akeves es mavoi, that would stop it. No, if you cut away that bit that sticks out, you don't have 3 tvachim between the two halves, then that's no good. Agula, right as a kilim if it's round, you imagine if it's square. That's also like the view of Yehuda, who allows a kaira of straw, even though it can't take a brick. According to the Chacham, is no good. Now, a kaira which has got a circumference of 3 has got a diagonal of 1. We bring a source of this. Min Ayam, King Solomon's pools, yeah? A big vessel of water, which Shlomo Melech made for the Kohanim and Tviling and Tovling in the Beis Mikdash. It says, he made the pool 10 amas around, so it was 10 across and it was 30 round. So that you see, it was 10 amas surrounding 30. So you see the circumference is 3 times the diagonal. Right? Now we're saying here, this is not an exact measure. The Gemara brings a source, although it's not exact. This cheshbon, the pasuk doesn't give the exact measure. I mean, this is for general shiurim. You can use this measure even though it's not exactly accurate. And we follow this shir lachumra or lakula, even things of deraisa. Some say it was halacha l'Moshe Sinai, because the Torah was given to the masses, right? They can't start working exactly 3.14, etc. Some say it's only with rabbinical dinim you can be lenient with this calculation. Okay, there's a famous gematria in this pasuk here. So what you've got your 10 and you got your 30. Now in this pasuk here with the pools, it says v'kav shloshim ba'ama. Now there's a kri ksiv on that word v'kav, right? The ksiv and the kri, the way you read it. The pasuk says kaveh kuf vav hey. The way you read it is Kuf Vav, 106, but the pasuk says Kuf Vav Hey, which is 111. Now the gematria of the Ksiv, 111, is more than the gematria of the Kri, which is 106. How much more in percentages is it bigger? 111 over 106 is 1.04717. Okay? Now there's a reference to 30 times as much. Now, so if you multiply by 3, the 1.04717, and you multiply it by 3, which is written in the pasuk, the share is 3.1415, which is very close to 3.141592764. So you see from the psukim, the Greek sieve 111 over 106, a reference to pi, a reference to 3.14 based on the 106 and the 111. Okay. Now, what we're going to say about this pool? Are you going to tell me it was round? One area was maruba, it was square. Maruba, it wasn't square, it was round. In Tema Maruba, now if it was square, then it would hold 166 and 2/3 measure the mikveh. In Tema Ogul, if it was round, it's 125 Yadas Tara Masik. And no, it was written, it was 150. So basically there were two stages. The top 2 amas was round. The bottom 3 amas were square. That's how it was holding 150 masik. That's how much water it held. So one pasuk was round and one pasuk was square because different heights was different. Okay, basically 5 amas. If it would be square, it would be 10 by 10, and it would be 500 cubic amas, and the share of the mikveh is 3 cubic amas, so you end up 166 and 2/3. So in the end, what we're saying is, it was square below 300 amas, and then the top 2 was 150, so it was 450, and that's equal to, divide by 3, and you get your 150 cubic, 100 cubic amas, whatever your 150 mikvahs, that's the share which you have there. One pasuk says about the thickness of the tefach. This is about the volume of the water. Alpayim bas yachil, that the sea could hold 6,000 sah. Right, that's how much it could hold. This pool, 6,000 sah, which is a bas is 3 sah, so it's 2,000 sah. 2,000 bas, which is 6,000 sah. Because of Achadim was in Masik Basim Shleshus Alafim Yachil, 9,000 sah. So Ev Shalom Alpayim, you want to say 2,000, Van Nema Shleshus 3,000. Ev Shalom Shleshus Alafim 3,000, Van Nema Alpayim, Bas 2,000. It says, it comes out, Alpayim Balach, 2,000 liquid, Shen Shleshus Alafim B'Yavesh, which is 3,000 in solid. Mikan Lam Chachamim. From here they learn Abayim Sah Balach, Shein Kurai B'Yavesh, 40 sah in the Lach, which is 60 sah when it comes to dry measures. Lechayim Sha'amru, Halacha Vav, yeah. Lechayim Sha'amru, Goivon Asar Tvachim. So your stick on the side should be 10 Tvachim, Hai Brachman Va'avian, Kol Shehein. And the width and thickness a small bit. Rabbi Yossi Emei says Rachman Shlosha Tvachim. No, the width should be Shlosha Tvachim. Lechayim Sha'amru, Masnisa, this is B'Mshuchim in HaKosel, where these Lechayim are at a distance from the wall. If they were actually touching the wall, if Rabbi Yossi would agree that the smallest amount is enough. When it's not touching the wall, it's got to be noticeable why it's there. So it's got to be a big size. But if it's touching the wall, then we know why it's there. But we've learned in a brisa. You make a lechi with the mavoi. If they're within 3 tvachim of the ground, close less than 3 to the wall, mutter you carry that. Even if it's shlosha and even 3 tvachim, you can still carry the mavoi. But who providing the lechi must be wider than the space between it and the wall. Yeah, it must be wider than the space between it and the wall. Otherwise, the other gap on the side of the lechi, which is wider than it, will nullify. The 2 gaps will nullify the lechi in the middle. But if the space between the lechi and the wall is less than 3, that's all closed up. Yeah. So we see when the width of the chalal between the lechi and the wall is less than 3, then the lechi is fine, even though it's very small. Imagine you have a wall, and right at the end, it sort of goes in on itself a bit. So so you got walls sticking out from the wall. Actually, it's talking here into an entrance of the mavoi. So this is the example here. basically the walls go in a bit at the end. If between them, if between them the stones coming out joined together within lavud, in which case is this? Amne Abinyan. No, this is stones. The other case, stones going out a bit, and then every second row maybe the stone is protruding outwards. So we're saying if the stones there and there and there, they're all within 3, then they're all closed up. So this is where at the end of the wall moves in a bit. You've got a corner piece of wall at the end. That can be treated as a lechi. If part of the wall comes in, so one of your walls comes in a bit and the other wall goes straight. So from the inside you see it going in a bit, but from the outside you don't see anything. Within the mavoi you see it sort of bends, and if you're inside you can see some sort of sticking out from the wall. If you're outside you just see a thick wall. Or it appears like a pas, like at the entrance the wall is narrow, and within the mavoi it's like thicker. So if you're standing in the Pesach HaMavoi, you see something sticking out on the wall, but if you're in the mavoi, you only see like a thick wall. That can also be treated as 2 lechis. If the lechi was a continuation to the wall of the mavoi of the inside, so basically you've got a big courtyard, and then the wall goes in a bit, leading into another courtyard. You with me? So your big courtyard, the wall comes in, and then there's another courtyard. So another courtyard, they just see your structure and your wall going around you. Right? So the din is, so the people inside see the lechi sticking out of your wall. The people outside see the lechi is much finer than the wall. You imagine it's within the mavoi, but as if the lechi is in the gap of the entrance of the mavoi like a normal lechi, and it's kosher. Because the lechi which is seen from outside and you don't see it from the inside is also got a din of a lechi. When you have a big courtyard leading into a small courtyard, and there was like a gap, there's still a bit of the wall left. The idea of like you got a bit extra from here, a bit extra on the small one. Hagadaila muteres. So you got a big courtyard next to the small one. Hagadaila muteres. The big courtyard can carry because they have pasim. The wall going to the small one is like their boards, so they can carry. But Bakatana asura. But the small one is forbidden because they don't see any pas. They just see entrance straight into another courtyard. They don't see any walls at all. So Bakatana asura. Now, if you want to say that lechi seen from outside is got a din of a lechi, then these bits which can be seen from outside should help the inner courtyard. The walls of the outer one, the big one, should be lechiyayim. They should count as a lechi for the inner courtyard. And hutra katana, the young and small courtyard, should be able to carry. We're saying they can't see any walls, they can't see a lechi, but from the outer side you can see it. It should help. No, basically the gap is like so much, it's more than 10 amas. And a wall like that can't be a lechi, it can't be even a board if it's like stretched out so much. Tani Rav Shian, he said, whether it's in the big courtyard, maybe might be 11 amas. But Katana, the share of the small courtyard is 10. So we're talking about a case where the bits left of the wall to the two sides of the courtyard are like half an amma, basically, not like the answer of Rabbi Rav Chana. So he's saying, what's the case? The wall is 11, and in the katana the wall is 10. See what they say here? Yeah. So what he's saying? So it's like a big wall, but it's not so much. There's only an amma there. In the small one, it's 10 ammas. So we're talking about a case where the extra walls on either side is only half an amma on each side, and that's not good enough. They looked for this bride, they didn't find it. She said, if it wasn't learned in the base medrash from Chia, you cannot rely on it. Rabbi Yosef said, if you want to tell me you want to rely on the brisa, that the walls from the two sides of the small courtyard are maybe 3 tvachim, but still the Mishnah doesn't allow the people in the small courtyard. Why not? As the command is like the one who holds chasen interes b'shnei pasim. Yeah, you can have 2 boards to allow courtyard. But vad pashal arba tvachim mikan, pashal arba tvachim mikan. You need 4 tvachim on each side. And here we're talking about there's only like 3 tvachim, and that's why it's no good. Even if you're going to say that as your commander it fits in like the one who says chasen interes b'shnei pasim, yeah, maybe we've got 2 balls here. You need 4 tvachim on either side. Still is no good. The Mishnah said the big courtyard can carry. Now, if you need pasim of 4 tvachim, we should even forbid the big courtyard. Because here you only have 3 tvachim. But the Brisa must hold that the opinion that you don't need 4 tvachim. And still the Mishnah forbids the small courtyard. It must be because these are not noticeable from inside. If it's just noticeable from outside, it's no good. He said the name of the Chachamim in Baba. The reason why you can't carry in the small courtyard, because he says, you know what? These boards, they're good for the big courtyard, for walls, but they're not good enough for the small courtyard. They're made to surround the big courtyard. They're not made for the little extended courtyard. Okay? They're not made for the small one. And you can't see them from there. As soon as you see, you just see walls of the big one. You don't see walls for you. Therefore, it's no good for the small one. You have an alleyway. Well, on one side, the wall extends out long. And one end, the wall stops a bit earlier. So your entrance, one wall is longer and one wall is shorter. So what happens there? He says, you imagine the Korah puts it at an angle. You can use all the error within that board. He says, and you put the board at an angle, and you can use it. It mustn't be more than 10 amas. The entrance has to be based on the length of the Korah, and it must be not wider than 10 amas. And Riyosi came with Rav Dima and Achisa. And also Rav Dima had this, he used to go to Baba a lot. He said this, yeah, the board mustn't be more than 10 amas. He says, I don't want one wall, the longer wall, to be more than 4 amas than the short wall. Because if you've got a gap of 4 amas, then there's a din mova, that's an area in its own right, which only has 1 wall. And you can't be masher with a Korah. Now, it comes out, that which the Tana, who didn't mention the first Amar, he wasn't sure if it was Ma'akiv or not. Pshitalan was clear to the second Amar, he said that's definitely essential, and therefore he mentioned it. Because basically, Rabbi Acha mentioned it shouldn't be more than 10 amas. The other Amora mentioned you shouldn't have one wall protruding more than 4 amas than the second one. So what one didn't mention, one didn't, because he wasn't sure about it, and the other one mentioned it, he was sure about it. The dinner of Kahana, that what? You can put a Korah at an angle, providing that it don't have a width of more than 10 amas. That's according to the opinion who says where the wall is longer, where the wall is between 3 to 4 tvachim more than the short wall. What does that mean? Yeah, this is talking about a case where the wall is between 3 tvachim longer and 4 tvachim more, but not more than that. If, however, if the wall is less than 3, it doesn't matter. Even if the Korah is more than 10 amas, it's fine. And but if the wall extends 4 tvachim or more, even less than 10 amas is forbidden. Also, it must be, we're talking about a case where one wall carries on the shloisha. We must be talking about between 3 and 4 tvachim more than the shorter wall, and therefore that's the din that you can put the Korah at an angle, providing that the width of the Korah is not more than 10 amas. Now, we explain this. Ra'ula holds shloisha rabba is talking about tvachim. Some learn we're talking about amas here. Amas is lashon nekeva. So, you should have said shalish ad arba, not arba'ah. And the main reason Ravula to allow less than 3 because it's only a tiny bit. It's not noticeable. If it's 3 amas, then it's really noticeable. In Bavli, it's brought Rava completely argues on the hetzer to leave it al achson. He doesn't allow this idea of the thing at an angle. You can't. It's got to be only at the short end. You can't have it at an angle, and that's paskin in Shulchan Aruch. Okay, Rabbi say, to be continued.